In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days. This is the No Off Days podcast, and as you can see, if you are watching this here show, we have something right between Chris and I. So usually nothing gets in between us.
Well, I don't know about that, but this is our best co-host ever.
That is correct. So welcome into the No Off Days podcast. I'm Scott Smith. We got Chris Cato. BK is in the booth. Today is the much-anticipated unveiling of what will be the bracket for this year, and we have settled on, drum roll.
Well, for people watching, they already know, but you guys out there listening, last year we did cereal, and it was wildly popular, wildly controversial. We were looking for ideas this year. You guys, the listeners, the viewers, gave us a lot of great suggestions, candy, pizza toppings, weird things like birds, but as you can see, we have settled on something I think that we can all agree that we can't agree which one is the best, and that is cake.
And this is all real cake. This is not just a studio prop, so this will all probably be consumed at some point during the course of the next hour or so.
You and I are having trouble restraining ourselves right now, I think. From
the glands are working overtime, and by the way, I appreciate the shirt. One of the great bands, Cake.
We're going the distance.
Yeah, no doubt. Going for speed. Here we go. So on this week's show, of course, we're going to get into the bracket. At the end of the show, we will give you our seeding. We start with a Sweet 16. That's kind of the format.
We don't let 64 cakes in.
So we
just
have
16.
We have a bracket that we will unveil, and then of course the big key here is over the course of the next few weeks, we want you to engage. So visit fox13news.com/nodpod, and there you'll be able to vote on these cakes, the matchups, which ones you want to see advance. You'll have a window of about 3 or 4 days to vote before all voting needs to be in, and then we advance and see who gets to the Elite Eight and who gets to the Final Four, and ultimately who's going to be your cake champion for 2024.
That's right. Yeah, if you got a strong feeling, like you're a strong proponent of cheesecake or red velvet, get on board and vote. Get your winner into the championship round.
There has been a ton of excitement around the building just within the last couple of days.
Yeah.
When they first wanted to know what it was going to be, and now we kind of let the cat out of the bag yesterday. People are waiting behind closed doors. Can I get a slice? So we're ready to go. Let's bring Brian King in. And Brian, this was one of the ideas that we kicked around earlier. Do you feel like we settled on the right thing?
I think so. Given that, I think baked fish, best baked fish, given the display you got out there now, I think cake was the better choice.
That would have been a tough one, pulling teeth a little bit.
How exciting is this, though, man? Whoa, this is a great time, isn't it?
It feels like a holiday.
It does.
Because, cake is just, it's the centerpiece of any giant celebration or event. A wedding, it's all about the cake.
People are waiting.
It's about the couple, but it's mostly
But you got to go through all the minutia, and you really know why you're there.
Yeah.
You're there for the cake.
Cake.
You go to a kid's birthday party, you got to wait and do the pinata or whatever, sing songs.
Yeah.
But you really just
spend
want
$30 on their gift so that you could just have a slice of $2 cake.
That's right.
That's really what
and if you're lucky, it's cookie cake.
Yeah. So let's not try to sway the jury pool yet. So that's kind of what we have on today's show.
Yes.
But we're going to be talking a little bit of basketball and some other things too, right?
Oh, yes, basketball brackets. I don't get you guys' thoughts on who may be the dark horse teams out there. There's one locally maybe. So, get your thoughts on that. And plus, there's some other interesting things about maybe a former boxer climbing back into the ring. Is that true?
Oh, somebody needs a paycheck?
I believe so.
I
believe so. All right, very good. We'll catch up with you shortly. BK, if you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/nodpod. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, take out your phone, zap the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. There you can find all of our shows as well as the ability to vote on the cake bracket. And we invite you to vote, tell your friends, share it on social media, and see if your cake can take it all the way.
I know who I'm going to vote for.
These are all worthy competitors.
I know my champion right now.
You already know.
Yeah, I already know who I'm voting for. Yeah.
All right. Before we dive into cake, we will get there shortly. We are right on the corner of the NCAA tournament, the actual basketball tournament, of which this was inspired.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know. There's a lot more excitement, it seems, in the building for this. As we look at some of these teams, as we get ready to go for conference tournaments, we don't know, obviously, what the 68-team field is going to look like.
Right. There are a few of the automatic qualifiers have already been handed out. Some of the smaller conferences have had their championship game at this point. But, we've got to still see the full field.
So I think, we we'll do a little preview. Let's dive into the teams that we think are like serious threats, the most dangerous teams as tournament time rolls around, and then we'll get into some dark horses too. I say we alternate. I will start with the dangerous team that I'm looking at, and that would be Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Yeah.
That is right. Going with the team that dominated the SEC during the regular season. This team, I mean, they've been a heavyweight fighter all season. Their non-conference opponents have been legit. And granted, earlier in the season, back in November, they lost like a run of 3 straight to Purdue and to Kansas and North Carolina, all teams that will be in the tournament and have a legit shot as well. They lost to those teams. I think that benefits them, though, Chris. I think that you learn a lot from playing really good teams out of conference early on in the season. Dalton Knecht is, he can heat up with the best of them.
Maybe the player of the year, NCAA player of the year. He's amazing.
But even Zakai Ziegler, who I feel like is coming into his own late in the season, coming off an injury, like these two, dynamite. They play great defense, which is big. Get some big rebounds from, I think it's Jonas Aidu. I do like him.
I don't believe it's Aidu.
This is an experienced squad too, which is always key in March.
Well, it's a Rick Barnes squad,
yeah.
But the thing is, what's his narrative? He loses in tournaments. He had so many great Texas teams, so they got to get over that hump,
Yeah. This is a team that has, they consist of mostly seniors and juniors. Yeah. Those are all your main point scorers. So I like Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be a dangerous team.
I think so. I think you landed on a good one there. They're heating up at the right time in the SEC tournament. I don't want to just pick a bunch of 1 seeds because we do that when we fill out our brackets.
Sure.
But to me, just watching, really after college football season ended, I dialed in, watched a lot of these teams, and to me, Houston and UConn are kind of head and shoulders above everyone else right now. They've got inside game, outside game, both of those squads. I'm going to put Houston as stronger right now in terms of winning the whole thing just because they play a little better defense. When I get into NCAA tournament mode and I'm filling out my bracket and I'm looking at who can really go furthest, I want teams that play great defense and can shoot free throws because your offense might let you down in one of these 5 or 6 games that you got to play. And Houston's that team. They're number 1 in defensive efficiency, 12th in offensive efficiency, so a lot of balance there. I think just slightly better than UConn. And then if we know it's not going to be all number 1 seeds that make the Final Four, so I'm looking for someone kind of on that fringe. Last year it was San Diego State that I think was a 5 seed. And as bad as I hate to say it, I think it might be Bruce Pearl's Auburn Tigers out of the SEC. They split games with Tennessee this year.
Are you already getting into dark horses, or is this
No. This is another one of my. I think could make. I would love to say Auburn's a dark horse, but no, they've got a really good squad. They're deep. They roll like 5 or 6 guys off the bench that play crucial minutes, and they're physical. So you've got a team like that can play good defense and has some good shooting guards. Janai Broom's really strong inside. Auburn could get back to a Final Four.
One of my other dangerous teams to watch out for is North Carolina, a team that obviously missed the tournament last year, but they're only 2 years removed from making it to the championship game in which they lost to Kansas. But off that team was R.J. Davis, and he's maybe the best guard in the country. So it's the similar reason why I like Tennessee is why I like North Carolina, in that you have a team that you have a guard that can light it up and get as hot as anybody. And then you have a team that can play really good team defense. I mean, much to your point as well. So they got big guy down inside that can get some rebounds. I mean, this is a quality team, but defense I think is going to be one of those things that helps this team get to the finish line. But I think that chip on the shoulder of not making the tournament last year is going to be huge for this team. So give me a hungry team going into the big dance.
Hungry like the wolf, yeah. I'll give you one dark horse here, and when I say dark horse, I'm looking like last year it was Florida Atlantic that was a 9 seed that made the Final Four, just busted everybody's bracket. So this is a big name that I'm going to give you, and they've been to a couple of Final Fours and a championship in the last 10 years, but if you paid attention to this season, they didn't play well for the first half of the season, and now they have heated up at just the right time. It's the Mark Few coached Gonzaga Bulldogs. They've taken down St. Mary's in that West Coast Conference twice now, decisively, and if you look at the kind of the overall efficiency numbers, like they're right there where you want them to be. They're in a top 20 offense, top 20 defense, and they shoot free throws really well. And they're right now, Joe Lenardi, Mr. Bracketology, has them projected as a 7 seed. That's a dangerous 7 seed. That's a 7 seed that could cause some problems. So Gonzaga is kind of my darker horse, even though it's a big brand in basketball.
Yeah.
Not a lot of expectations this season, but I'm going to have Gonzaga in there.
Well, I'm gonna kind of springboard off of that because I'm gonna stay in that same conference for my dark horse, and to correct the record. St. Mary's actually beat Gonzaga at Gonzaga in the first go-round. So,
yeah, but what happened most recently at St. Mary's?
Correct. They lost, but it wasn't that long before that they actually beat the Bulldogs at their place too. So this is a good team. They, again, experienced team. 4 of their top 5 scorers from last year. They are consistently in the tournament. They have won the last 2 years. They've won their first-round games. But I think that this might be a year that they make a deeper run. They haven't advanced to the Sweet 16 since 2010. But Aid Mahaney, senior guy, well, actually, he's a sophomore, sophomore guard. Fantastic. They were on a 16-game winning streak prior to that loss to Gonzaga. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. The Zags they're always going to be tough in March, but St. Mary's is a team that's consistently right there, kind of on the doorstep. I think this is the year that they maybe punch through a little bit. Randy Bennett has been there forever, their head coach.
Yeah, does a great job.
A couple decades, and I think maybe they punch their way through. Got another dark horse?
Yeah, and again, you're going to say, well, this is a known basketball brand, but it's a team that had not played well all season until recently, and it's Villanova. And the Wildcats are really heating up now. They're not going to win the Big East. The Big East is stacked as usual. Villanova's taking some lumps this season from Marquette, and Creighton has beaten them down, but they're playing a lot better now. They're number 1 in the country in free throw shooting, and again, I go back to that, like, give me a team that plays strong defense and is good at the stripe, can get to the line. Let me just look at their defense, where they are right now currently. So they're top 20 defense, and it helps to have a team like that. They've got a lot of seniors that have tournament experience. And if you're in one of these bracket challenges that has you pick a dark horse that's a 10 seed or lower, right now Villanova is slated to be around 11 seed. So that's good value, I think, on the Wildcats.
Yeah. I got one that may end up grabbing an 11 or a 12 seed. We'll see. Right down the road.
Yeah.
The USF Bulls. I mean, the issue with this team is that outside of their conference, you haven't really seen them go up against any heavyweights this year. And so that's a tough gauge. And even the games that they, played outside of conference earlier in the season, and they lost some of those, we've talked about Maine and the like. But this team is different now. I mean, you talk about winning streaks. I mean, they've won 16 in a row as we tape this.
It's incredible.
And Coach Amir has this team kind of geared up, and what I love about this team is the resilience, the way they finish, the leadership they have in Selton Miguel and Chris Youngblood, and then you got a big guy down low in Case and Pryor. I mean, this team looks like a team that is that could make a run. Believe it or not, and so it will be interesting to see what that first round matchup is, and that will kind of be the reality, the kind of the reality check for them. But depending on who they get, if they can pull off a round 1 win, I think you could see a team start to say, hey, we deserve to be here. This is not a fluke. Yes, we were in the American Conference, but now we're gunning for it. So
yeah, I wouldn't want to play them if I'm pulling for my Alabama or whoever. I wouldn't want to face the Bulls right now.
Yeah. Any more dark horses from you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm kind of dark. I wish Indiana State could make a deep run. This is a program that historically hasn't been back to the NCAA tournament since Larry Bird played there in 1979. Yeah. And they had a really good start to the season. They were knocking off some Big East teams. And my favorite part is they've got this guy. Have you seen this guy? Austin, I can't say his name, but he wears goggles like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he's a 7-footer, and he's just a worker, man. And so I'd like to, and they're slated to be kind of an 11, 12 seed right now. It'd be cool if they could make a run. I don't know though; they've fallen flat in big games recently, so not really a dark horse, maybe a dead horse.
Oh, well, rec specs are always in fashion. That's a great tease, a dead horse, because coming up on the other side, Chris, there is a sport out there in which a dead moose was involved. And then the kind of the dismemberment of said moose, and it became a real bloody affair. But this is indeed a sport, and we're going to be discussing this among some other bizarre headlines when the No Off Days podcast returns. Chris, one of the great Seinfeld.
When can we eat this cake?
Okay, not yet.
Come on. It's just teasing us.
We're getting there.
Brutal.
We're getting there. Again, at the end of the show, we have our cake bracket. We will unveil the top 16 teams, and then we will we all have our Sweet 16 matchups. So, yeah, I mean, it's a glorious thing, and the cake is the sweet smell of cake in the air.
It's calling to me. What were you saying
so
about Seinfeld?
one of the great Seinfeld episodes was, of course, Bizarro World, right? The Bizarro World episode. There was the Feldman character to be the antithesis to Kramer. So this is kind of our Bizarro block, okay? So these are all real sports headlines, and they're just the craziest stories. And so we'll start with less crazy, and then we'll get into the more bizarre. All right, the first one is that Iron Mike is back. That's right. The soon-to-be 58-year-old former heavyweight champ of the world, Mike Tyson, getting back in the ring this summer, facing off against none other than social media star turned knockout artist Jake Paul. Paul checking in at 27 years of age, a 31-year age gap between he and Tyson. This will be a Netflix event from Jerry World in Arlington, Texas on July 20th. Paul has 10 pro bouts. He has a 9-1 record. Tyson's last professional bout was 2005. He lost that one. 2020, he did have an exhibition fight against Roy Jones Jr.
There was a lot of dancing around the ring.
Ended in a draw. So, Chris, the question is, will Mike Tyson be humiliated on July 20th?
If I had to bet on it, humiliated in what way? Knocked out? No. Beaten badly in a fight? No, because my feeling is, and I hope it's not this, but my feeling is this is a made-for-Netflix event, right? This is happening at AT&T Stadium. This is with Jake Paul. You've got one of the most influential. Well, when your job title is influencer, then you're going to have a lot of eyeballs on you. Yeah. Like, this guy's a huge brand on his own now. Like,
he is, but I mean, I think he's a legitimate boxer.
He is,
now.
too. But what I'm saying is I feel like this could be a lot of build-up for maybe Tyson's not really as a 50. He'll be 58 when they fight this. Maybe he's not really in boxing form, and this is like a one-round
given
thing.
his out-of-the-ring endeavors that he's currently involved in.
We saw him here in Tampa recently opening a cannabis shop.
Yeah.
So, but I did see this.
He's got some aches and pains, you know?
You know, this sparring video, this video is going around now that they announced this thing of him sparring, and yes, he looks fantastic. I mean, especially considering his age. A 58-year-old man should not be that quick. I would not want to get in the ring with him. But he's 58, and I think this might be more of a stunt, and we're not going to see a lot of.
You think?
Well, we're not going to see a lot of actual boxing. I'm worried about that. But even though Jake,
yeah, they're gonna. I mean, they're cashing fat checks, so there will be some hits. I think someone will get at least knocked down. I don't know if it's going to end in a knockout, but I do think that Tyson's going to get humiliated.
I don't think so. I think if anyone gets knocked down, it's going to be Jake Paul. Yeah.
I don't know. Here's the thing. It's okay if Mike lands those sandbags for hands and connects. It's obviously going to. I think he still packs a punch. Right? He's in great shape. But at 58 years old, like the muscle twitch just doesn't move as quick. The reaction is not as good. There's a reason why, you know.
Yeah.
Like at 40 is considered too old to box.
Yeah.
Like, and we've seen Mike. I mean, we've seen Mike. You know, his last professional fight was against what was his name? Like Kevin, like Gatlin or some no name he lost to. He quit. He turned in the towel. Like, and that was a different time in his life. But there's just you can't age gracefully in this sport and compete. I would love to see Mike go out there and look like Iron Mike of old. Well, I would love to see a competitive
even
fight.
a shade of Iron Mike of old would be a competitive match.
Well, I think the shade will be the physical look. I think he will look the part, and that everybody will go ooh and ah. And then the reality will be that he's just not as quick as he used to be. He's not as skilled as he used to be. I mean, that's just the reality of Father Time catching up with anybody. But I agree. This obviously is a TV stunt. I think I will jump out on this limb and say I think it will be the most watched sporting event outside of the Super Bowl in 2024.
That's not going out on a limb. With the following Jake Paul has, I think that's a lock. I think it's a lock for one of the top 5 most watched boxing matches of all time.
Okay. And the fact that it's on Netflix. I mean, I think this is their first venture into live sporting events, is it not?
I believe so. I'm curious to see, though, if you think they're going to build in a pay-per-view element of it. Like, just because you have Netflix doesn't mean you're necessarily getting this bout.
Oh, well, that would be a shame.
Yeah. I think that could be where we're headed.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would assume that Netflix is paying big money for this. And so but everybody, you're right, everybody does have Netflix. A lot of these things, it's like they try to have the hook in there so that you do subscribe, like the Peacock thing they did during the football season.
That was awful. Yeah.
So
still pecking $5 out of my account every month.
You need to have some extra subscription level. That would make sense. All right, story number 2 in Bizarro Block B. Our frostbite amputee. At least some football fans, Chris, who attended January's bitterly cold Kansas City Chiefs playoff game, suffered extreme frostbite and eventually needed amputations. A hospital official said Thursday the mercury plummeted to -3 and the wind chill of -25 at halftime of this contest played at Arrowhead Stadium. And here's a quote. To date, 12 patients have undergone amputation surgeries, some of which attended the Chiefs game. 15 fans, 10 with cold-related symptoms, were taken to hospitals by the Kansas City Fire Department, transported that evening. So the question for you, Chris, is what body part would you do away with to see one more Nick Saban-led national championship of your beloved Crimson
I'm not
Tide?
comfortable making light of these amputee situations, Scott. What did they lose? Was it fingers?
I asked you a question. I expect an answer.
I'm with my one leg that's left. I'm sidestepping that question. Wow. So they really, because the article I'd read, they hadn't come out and said. They said they might. So they really had to go through with amputations. Oh my goodness.
The quote is at least some football fans who attended. And then it later says they suffered extreme frostbite, amputations. So we don't know exactly how many people
that's
had to have something amputated.
Even if they didn't, they've got to live life-altering. I mean, that's tough just for going to a football game. And the sad thing is, how much do they pay for those tickets to go lose a digit in the freezing cold?
It's awful. But, at the same time, I mean,
I don't think they knew.
I'm not trying to make light of it, but
the question
people
you asked
knew
me,
what you were getting into.
I don't think they knew they were going to lose digits. Do you think they knew they were going to lose digits?
Going into that game, everybody was talking about how this might be one of the coldest games ever on record, and indeed it was. And if you go to a Kansas City Chiefs game, presumably...
You said most of these are Chiefs fans, so they would have probably known.
Well, it says football fans. It doesn't specifically say.
The article I read, it was mostly Kansas City fans, which is kind of
there you go. You
surprising.
You should know. And to be honest, and I don't want to besmirch anybody's character that was doing this, but I would not be... I wouldn't put it past alcohol playing a giant factor in this, Chris.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that kind
of...
So,
I mean, if you're...
I'm warm. Off comes the gloves,
Yeah.
It feels good out here, Brock.
Well, you wonder, too, does the NFL suffer any type of fallout from this? Because you're sanctioning these events. At the end of the day, this is an event that you're saying is safe enough for fans to attend.
Yeah.
Right? There was other games that weekend that were pushed off because, in Buffalo, because I believe it was the same weekend.
It was the same weekend.
Because the snow.
Yeah.
And so this was bitterly even colder
You're
than
right.
it was
There
in
will
Buffalo.
be policy changes because of this. Probably so. You got to
I wonder if there's going to be lawsuits because of this.
Oh, lawsuits are a given anytime.
Yeah.
I mean, we were worried about Patrick Holmes' helmet falling apart, and there were people losing fingers in the stands.
So that's my question. If you could sue and win against the NFL... and lose a finger, would you do it?
Yeah,
okay. Right,
that's good.
Okay.
I've got 10 of these things.
There you go. Trying to make me the bad guy.
Don't
make light of these amputations. But yes, you can cut my finger
I'm not
off.
a piano player for a living. Let's
All
go.
Right, our third Bizarro story in this Bizarro B block. All right. The Alaskan Iditarod is an annual event. This year, there was 38 mushers, as they call them. So these are teams led by sled dogs. They travel 1,000 miles across 2 mountain ranges in Alaska. It goes about 10 days. They finish at the finish line. So it's not for the faint of heart. So this gentleman, Dallas Seavey.
5-time champion.
Yes, 5-time Iditarod champ. He's going to receive, Chris, a 2-hour time penalty for not properly gutting the moose he killed during the race. The moose, it became entangled with his dog team. It injured his dog, by the way. Falou was in critical condition.
Yes.
Okay. I think Falou's doing okay, though. If a musher kills a big game animal like a moose or a buffalo or any of these wild animals out there, in defense of his life or property during the race, the rules require that the animal be gutted, and then you have to report it. So Seavey he had a handgun on him. He shot and killed the moose. Mm-hmm. A quote from Seavey, he says, "I gutted it the best I could, but it was ugly."
Right.
Iditarod said that it had been determined that the animal was not sufficiently gutted by the musher. By definition, gutting includes, and I'm getting into the graphic details.
I'm trying to eat cake here,
it includes taking out the intestines and other internal organs. The moose was retrieved, and the meat was salvaged and processed. So they actually, the food went somewhere.
Yes.
And then just as a side note, CV was the first musher to reach the halfway checkpoint, which means that he wins the Dorothy G. Page Halfway Award, named after the mother of the Iditarod.
The mother of the moose.
And he has a choice of either $3,000 in gold nuggets or a smartphone with a year of free mobile service.
Well, which would you
So my
choose?
question to you is, would you rather have the nuggets? Obviously, the number one question coming out of this story, would you rather have the nuggets or the smartphone?
I want the nuggets. I've got a smartphone.
Yeah.
Gold. You're going to give me gold nuggets?
Yeah. Just have like some loose gold nuggets jingling around in your pocket.
But now, so he still gets those prizes, but he's got to get a penalty for not gutting this moose properly.
It's a 2-hour penalty, yes.
I knew these guys were tough, and this was a hardy sport. I had no idea there were rules about if you have to kill an animal. I understand it was attacking his dog, so he had to do something. Stand your ground, self-defense against the moose. I know they have to stop and gut the animal before you continue.
Well, imagine being one of the officials. That's part of your job is to go back and make sure.
Are all those intestines out of there?
Throwing a flag.
I still see a liver in there, not properly gutted.
Let's go back to instant replay on that. And no.
So interesting.
The question for you, though, is should live animals be more regularly a part of our athletic events here?
So if you're running the Boston Marathon and say
maybe a tiger,
an antelope jumps out in front of you, you have to kill the antelope.
Some type of engagement.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to always kill it,
okay.
but I mean, certainly if you're like a professional surfer and you carry a gun,
you're worried about sharks. That's why
you just never know.
Yeah.
But like, do you think that more live animals need to be engaged in our sporting events?
No, I think we're good.
As a wild card, you never know.
Like what? Like, give me is this going back?
Well, we've talked about
Crazy George. Crazy George, bring the lion in.
Get him off me! Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think? What? How would you incorporate?
No, I don't think it should be. But this sport just makes me want to go watch this live.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how you can take it all in. You're traveling 1,000 miles and going through all these mountain ranges. Like, but how do they chronicle this? Like, are there helmet cams? Are there like? I mean, what? Like,
I would assume drones.
You've got to watch it, right?
You've got a lot of technology these days. I'd assume geo-tracking, probably there's someone drops one of those Apple AirTags.
Like, how do we not have video of the moose?
Alaska is vast, Scott. I
know,
it's
but
a big
we need
place.
to.
I mean,
how Netflix is getting a 58-year-old boxer and a social media guy to duke it out. I want to see Netflix get on the Iditarod circuit.
Well, they will after this.
This is incredible stuff. It needs to be on TV.
I know. It's crazy. I had no idea this was part of the race there. But we'll see if he can recover from this penalty and from this improper moose gutting and take his gold nuggets and journey on and win his 6th Iditarod.
All right. Enough about all that nonsense. Let's get to business. On the other side, we will start our process, take you into the process of how we ended up with the cakes that we have and take you inside the cake bracket selection committee.
I do not want to be gutted. I want to fill my gut.
Coming up on the No Off Days podcast. This cake will not eat itself, Chris, so we need to get to it. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. You are looking at a beautiful charcuterie of cake as we are getting ready to unveil the cake bracket for 2024. We will start with our Sweet 16. We will get to that shortly. But, Chris, last year we blazed a trail. It's unprecedented.
We made
really.
podcasting history.
I think so. We unveiled what was the cereal bracket, and people were like, what is that? Why are you doing this silly, right? It's nonsense.
We mainly wanted to eat cereal at work.
That was it. But people were like super passionate about it, we found out. And there was great engagement from people at home. You watched it and you said, you know what? Blah, blah, blah.
Captain
Lucky
Crunch.
Charms.
Yeah.
Everybody was fired up, right? Okay. But here's the thing. When we did it, it was just an idea between Chris and I and BK. And we just kind of decided, hey, we're going to come up with the seating. And we came up with 16 cereals. And then it came out, and everybody around us
lost their
we
mind.
got emails
Yeah.
and people we know. Why isn't this it? Why isn't honeycomb in it? Why isn't this? Whining and whining.
Honey
Paul
smacks.
Delicado. Yeah.
Yeah. What
Anyway,
was it? What did Paul want? Grape nuts or something?
No, I think he wanted honeycombs.
Did he? Oh.
Mark Wilson wanted smacks.
Yeah, I think
like everybody has their own right. Okay, that's fine. Everybody's got an opinion. So what did we do? We learned. We're better. This is bracket 2.0 in 2024. And so much like any in college basketball, in college football, you have committees.
Right.
They come around, and there's more voices in the room. A lot of people that have different backgrounds and histories and opinions, and they're all of value, right?
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah.
Some are of value, and some are not. But that's what we wanted to figure it out. Let's get more voices in the room, and let's not have this be behind some veil.
Transparent.
We want to be as transparent as possible. How do we come up with the cakes that we came up with that are going to be presented here later in the show? And so we kind of had a cake selection committee process.
Yes. Even though it was a committee of 2.
Ultimately, yes. But we invited the voices in the room, right? We wanted to hear from others before we formulated our Sweet 16. And so we wanted to show you guys at home kind of what that looks like when we started our cake selection committee meeting.
Are you guys going to get in the line for the cake selection? It's just cake.
Just cake? Absurd.
It's like saying college football is just a game. Ridiculous.
All right, next. Welcome in. Give us your name, your cake, and your cake resume.
Concise and to the point, please.
Got it. My name is Craig Patrick. My cake happens to be a pine nut supreme, speckled with a good deal of walnut, also a little dab of mustard. And every year, starting when I was 4 years old, my Aunt Mabel would actually bake this for my birthday.
No personal anecdotes, Craig. No personal anecdotes. We just want cake facts, people.
Wow.
Mustard.
That guy. Next cake.
Hello.
Hi.
So just wanted to let you know the search is over. The best cake is pound cake.
This is Grandma's sister's boyfriend's next door neighbor's milkman's recipe. Family recipe for years. It's moist.
Chocolate consumption rates among U.S. adults are up 7% from a decade ago.
And the best part? It's upside down.
This thing literally won the Sop Choppy Sock Hop at 1975 and 76. Blue ribbon. Again, the key is it's moist.
They would place a piece under their pillow to make them dream of the person they were going to marry.
It's not one, it's not two, but it's tres leches.
So the key again here, it's moist.
Okay, we got it. Moist. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Leave the door open, please.
All right, I think that is it, Chris. Is there anybody else out there? No. Okay, that's gonna wrap it.
Tough decisions to make.
A lot of tough decisions.
The weird thing is, no one actually brought a cake to this cake meeting.
That's true. I'm a little disappointed.
I'm sorry, guys. Am I too late?
Haley, no,
Hi.
and she brought a cake.
Of course I brought a cake. I have a pitch to make. Gentlemen, the quintessential cake, funfetti. Vanilla buttercream, sprinkles, white cake. It smells like childhood, doesn't it?
Funfetti, Chris.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sprinkles.
I don't know. Did she think this was a 6-year-old's birthday party? Come on.
I'm sorry.
It's not a grown-up cake. Yeah.
What did you say?
He said, does she think this is a 6-year-old's birthday party?
Thanks, Chris.
That's what I thought you said.
Well, it's kind of a birthday party type of cake.
Well, Scott? Happy birthday.
Not bad, actually. Not bad at all.
So that's how it went down, Chris. I took a while. Cleanup was it was a little messy.
She really went aggressive with the shove at the end, upward into the nostril area. It looked like.
It was a little extra cruel. Twist of there was a crazy look in her eye at the last second. I was like, wait, what? I realized she was walking toward me. And, Haley is like the sweetest person in the building.
Absolutely.
And so we just saw the real side. We saw
switch was flipped.
If you offend her, I mean, if you offend her cakes or anything like that, even though I didn't think it was that offensive.
I didn't think she was going to do it. I thought she was doing kind of the fake. I didn't think she was going to do it. That's why. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah.
That was. You're never going to look at Funfetti the same again.
No,
I guarantee you that.
I got HR involved, and there's a little bit of a restraining order for Duncan Hines. I mean Haley Hines. And, so we will. We'll deal with that later.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that is the process. I know you didn't really get a glimpse in that video of what we ended up settling on, but we had a lot of pictures that have now been replaced with actual cake.
Thank goodness, yes.
And coming up on the other side, we are going to unveil the Sweet 16, the Cake Bracket 2024, and maybe a few tastes along the way.
Hope so.
When the No Off Days podcast continues.
Let's go.
Chris, it's time to get down to business.
Please,
are you
can
ready?
we eat cake?
It's
yes.
Cake-eating business. All right, we are going to unveil our cake bracket for 2024. Again, we want you to vote. Once you see the matchups, go to the website, fox13news.com/nodpod, and you'll be able to vote for all the matchups you want, and then we'll reveal next week what the Elite Eight is, and we'll do that copy and repeat for the next few weeks. All right, let's get into this.
Let's get into it.
All right, in the Northwest region, our number one seed in this year's cake bracket, chocolate cake.
Not a surprise.
Chocolate cake. And here we have a chocolate on chocolate cake, very popular, but the chocolate with the vanilla actual caking, it also works.
Like the yellow cake with the chocolate icing?
Yes.
That
so
works
that is
too.
also a chocolate cake, so don't be swayed. Just totally buy the picture, okay? You know what a chocolate cake is.
You know what a chocolate cake is.
So, I mean, this is a classic, right? There's so many chocoholics, people that love chocolate cake. You can't go wrong. I've never met anybody that doesn't like chocolate cake. Are you kidding me? Right?
No, there was one guy, and I don't trust him. Anyone who doesn't like chocolate cake, I don't trust him.
Is that Steve?
Yeah, Steve.
It's Steve.
You know
yeah,
Steve.
He doesn't like chocolate cake.
He's got that weird mustache.
All right, but they're going up against fruit cake. Chris, this is, fruit cake is our 16 seed. We decided to put it in there because, though small, there is a strong fan base for fruit cake.
Is there?
No. Seasonally. It's hard to
fruitcake-
get your hands on a fruitcake during.
Yeah, it is.
In March here.
That's why we don't have one up here. Plus, we didn't want to eat one. How did fruitcake get in? Did they win some weak cake conference?
It has a reputation. Okay. I mean, it's one of these things. It's associated with the holidays. So if in your mind you're thinking Christmas, I love Christmas.
Right.
I
maybe
love
it's
Christmas gifts. Maybe there's enough out there. I don't know, but this will reveal it. Is there a strong enough fan base out there for fruitcake?
Okay.
That is our 116. In the same Northwest region, we have our 8 seed, lemon pound cake. And quite frankly, any pound cake. Pound cake. Lemon tends to be the most popular of the pound cakes. That is our 8 seed. It's strong. Chris, we've heard it over and over again that you don't need icing with pound cake. So this is one thing that we've, in our research, obviously the Cake Selection Committee, we kept hearing that over and over again.
Yeah, that pound cake on its own can stand. It doesn't need razzle and dazzle. It doesn't need icing. If you do it right, I mean, this is one of my favorite cakes. A good, moist, strong, thick pound cake. You can have it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, like pound cake.
Yeah, and it's going up against the 9 seed here, and some would be actually taken back that this is actually in our bracket. Yeah. And that would be 9 seed cookie cake. And this is something that you see commonly at birthday parties. But it really should be at the dinner table every night after dinner.
I think so.
Why not, right?
Or as an appetizer.
I mean, it is a cookie. It is a cake. Or maybe it's not a cookie. Maybe it's not a cake. We don't know what it is, and because of that, it's number 9 in our cake bracket.
I know it's good. That's all I need to know.
Do you like the frosting on it?
I do want the frosting. Okay, Without the frosting, I'm eating a cookie. So I think the frosting makes it a cake.
No, what makes it a cake is the size. It's huge.
Well,
it's the size.
I think it's the icing.
All right.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. All right, let's dip down into our southeast region where we have our 7 seed. That would be German chocolate. To be different than, obviously, chocolate cake, and the difference here is the icing, Chris.
Right, yeah. A lot of coconut, obviously, in there. Some people do it with some walnuts.
It's a little gooier.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a caramely.
I would say so.
Is that the
I
flavor
think
there?
there's a little cane sugar, a little syrup in there. Yeah.
You can't get any more American than German chocolate.
You really
cake, right?
can't.
All right, and that is the 7 seed going up against 10 seed from way out in the Pacific Islands. It's the pineapple upside down cake.
I like this one.
And this is just it's a unique cake. And of course, do you know the history of the upside down?
Well, I'm assuming it's very much like what we saw in our story that we showed people in the selection committee, that it's someone like Haley was carrying a right side up pineapple cake and then dropped it.
And they're like,
this is actually better. Was that the backstory?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
All right, and staying in that same region, our number 2 seed. So number 1 is chocolate. Number 2, red velvet.
I like this one.
Let's go. It's a classic. I feel like red velvet has really come on within the last decade. I mean, they're constantly talked about. I mean, in terms of social media following, red velvet very high up there. But what is the flavor exactly that we're tasting in red velvet?
Well, to me, it's an elevated chocolate. The ingredients of red velvet and chocolate are pretty similar, but red velvet.
The frosting is the game changer.
The frosting's the game changer.
So it's like a cream cheese.
It's a cream cheese. It's got to be cream cheese.
Yeah.
I've had people serve it with other frosting like buttercream.
Get out of here.
I hate to say this, but the last time my mom made one, she made it with the wrong frosting, and I just sat there and I was like, "What are we doing? What are we doing, Freda?"
That is sad.
You've lost your. But no,
sad.
this to me, I wanted this to be number 1. I wanted red velvet number 1. In the South, I know it's kind of new to you, but in the South, red velvet has been king for a long time. But it's a solid number 2.
All right. We are going to go up against the 15 seed here for red velvet, and this is honestly, Chris, a cake I had never heard about prior to this, and that is the hummingbird cake.
Yeah.
We have it on set with us, and so I'm going to have to taste it. You talk about the hummingbird.
I've never had hummingbird cake. I've heard it's good. I've heard it's made with fresh hummingbird. I don't know what's in it. Let me.
Here we go. I'm gonna give you a little chunk.
I can
you
tell.
Have a plate with you?
Yes. I'm not a savage. Here we go. All right. That's perfect. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. We've got some. Well, the icing looks like cream cheese, so that's a good start. And then the cake part has, we got some walnut here. Where are the hummingbirds? All right, let's just get this in the mouth and shut up.
All right, here we go. So, yeah, it kind of has a little bit of a carrot cake feel to it. And banana bread.
Yep, that's it. Banana bread.
It's banana. That's what it is, basically.
It's banana bread in disguise.
With frosting. How about that?
Well, it's a great idea. I mean, banana bread's great on its own, but put the cream cheese frosting on it?
Oh.
That's good.
Hey, that could be a dark horse.
Kevin O'Donnell recommended hummingbird. Thank you, Kevin, for that. Don't mention Kevin's name?
Yeah,
okay.
No, you can't do that.
Hummingbird's good.
How about that?
I might have to bump that up in the seating. Wow. Red velvet might be in for a fight there.
All right, we're going to dip into the northeast region, coming in the 6th seed. Strawberry shortcake. Strawberry shortcake, classic, and especially this time of year with the Strawberry Festival going on, very big.
It's the official state dessert of Florida, by the way. Did you know
really?
that?
How about that?
Yeah. Governor DeSantis signed it, yeah.
And it's a little, the structure of it's a little bit different, right?
Well, yeah.
The strawberry is
sponge cake base.
Yeah.
Strawberry goop. What's in that goop? Whatever it is, it's a lot of sugar. And
it's
then you have to top it.
If we knew, it wouldn't be goop.
That's my only thing about strawberry shortcake where I almost push back a little is if you don't put the whipped cream on it, it's not the same. And any cake that needs whipped cream to help it, it's a weaker competitor.
Right, we have to speed this up. It's
sorry.
Competition, and it's the 11th seed ice cream cake. Again, a little bit of controversy here because there's ice cream in there, but again, the ice cream, any good ice cream cake, it's intertwined.
Yes.
You have a layer, either a layer of cake or it's like a swirl, but when done well. I mean, again,
oh my goodness,
ice cream cake.
There are many birthdays. I'm just like, get me an ice cream cake. That could be my
Our
cake.
number 3 seed in the Northeast region, cheesecake. Cheesecake. A lot of people would say, why is this not number 1? People are as passionate about cheesecake as anything in life.
They are, yeah.
And but so that's a strong 3, but red velvet maybe.
A lot of bakers will tell you that cheesecake's not actually a cake.
Okay, I see one bite has already been taken out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna dig in here.
Its competition, however, Chris, is more of a breakfast pastry, but it is indeed a cake, and that would be coffee cake.
Oh, I love coffee cake.
Yeah, especially a good strong cinnamon, a crunchy top.
Yes.
The thicker the better. We unfortunately we don't have a coffee cake here. Have you ever actually had coffee cake with coffee?
I always have it with coffee.
Okay, good.
Even if I'm eating it at midnight, I'm having coffee with it.
All right, we're going down to the Southwest region. That is right.
Yeah.
Our 5 seed, funfetti cake. Chris, this is a cake that I have recently come to know quite personally.
Yes.
I know what it tastes like. I know what it tastes like if you eat it through the nose.
If you inhale it, yes.
I know what it's like to remove from the back of your ear like a couple hours later. So funfetti, it's actually very good.
Well, I don't know that you got enough of it yesterday, and I feel like we need a strong representation. So let's have we have Haley Hines. Actually,
your face
ruined her cake yesterday. So she has. So she has made. Look at this cake. Look at this funfetti.
That
is
funfetti.
I mean, look, it says nodpod
from
on the
over
top
there.
of it.
It looks fantastic. Just keep it away.
Did you
made this?
I did, yes.
That is incredible.
Thank you. It is.
You bake a lot.
Have you cooled off since the smashing?
I have.
Okay,
I think I got a lot of stress out, a lot of aggression out.
I think a lot of that was directed towards your husband. I think honestly, because she's like, "Take that, Evan."
Are you?
And then I heard her say that actually.
I'm really sorry. I have to apologize. I did feel bad afterwards.
I thought it was great. Don't apologize.
Okay.
Are you happy now that you see we have put funfetti in the tournament? Funfetti's in the tournament.
I was worried you might not. I got a little pushback from you initially.
At first,
a favorite.
Well, because I thought of funfetti as like a Duncan Hines recipe and it's a kid's birthday parties. But no, after you brought it in yesterday, I admit that I ate a little of the cake that fell off of Scott. It was really good.
So Haley, the question is it gonna be able to hold its own against our international flavor here on the table in the bracket? This is our 12 seed. Tres Leches.
Yes.
Right here. We have a Tres Leches.
Huge in Tampa. People love this stuff.
Maybe a lot of people aren't as familiar with Tres Leches, but
it is a good cake. If it was cuatro leches, it might win.
Okay,
but just 3 milks.
3 milks, not enough.
Okay.
All right.
Do you like Tres Leches?
I do love Tres Leches.
How do you describe Tres Leches for our listeners?
It's if I may say the word moist, there's a lot
of... Well, it is moist.
Well, I think we've hit the peak on this show with that word, but
used up our moist credentials there.
It's good. That's going to be tough competition.
There's always a 12-5 upset, so we got to be careful. All right. Coming in at number 4. An old standby. In fact, our very own Cheryl Brisky here at Fox 13 has baked this one. It is a carrot cake.
Love it. Love carrot cake.
A lot of people, I've talked to people that are like, well, but there's carrots in it, and the vegetables should not be in a cake. What is the role of carrots in an actual carrot cake? Haley, you are kind of the baking aficionado. What is it?
So I'll say I don't have a lot of experience with carrot cake. Maybe I had bad ones growing up, but I've heard so much praise for it recently that I'm going to have to give it a try.
So you're not necessarily a fan of carrot cake?
I'm neither against it or for it, but I need a good one to help me decide.
I think this will be a good one. Cheryl is a fantastic baker. I would assume the
presentation alone. Is
look at that
right there.
I could do without the walnuts, but I love the buttercream icing. I would think the role of the carrots in there is to kind of hold everything together, right? To be an adhesive.
It's the glue.
Yeah. But it also, carrot cake's so good. It also has a lot of spices in there. It tastes fallish, if I may say that. Yeah.
And again, the frosting is the one thing that wins it for this. I mean, and I would say the carrots are sweet,
Yeah, they do,
carrots are sweet. Going up against another sweet delicacy, and that would be the rum cake. The rum cake, for all you booze hounds out there. No, I'm not sure that how much rum is actually in there, but again, very, very moist cake.
I haven't had rum cake in a long time. Someone else lobbied hard for this. I said, okay. We'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I think it was a pirate that wanted the rum cake.
We are the home of Gasparilla, so rum and rum cake should fit together. So here's the big look at our Sweet 16 bracket.
Yeah.
Again, chocolate is your number 1, going up against fruit cake number 16, and all the delicious cakes in between. We invite you to vote. Haley, are you going to be a part of this? Are you going to vote?
Oh, I will be voting funfetti every week.
Are you going to be a part of it? Now we have to consume it all.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready to do that?
Did you eat lunch today?
I ate a kale salad for lunch.
Okay,
I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
So there you go. Go to the website, vote every week. We will trim it down. It'll be tough. It's like seeing your babies go off to college. You don't want to. Bad things may be in store for some of these cakes.
Oh, come on, Red Velvet. Red Velvet, I want to see you at the finish line.
One will win it. Go to fox13news.com/nodpod to vote, to catch all of our shows, and to subscribe to this show so it comes to your phone each and every week in audio form. You can do it Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. It's all right there. There we go. The cake bracket is out there. It's official.
Let them eat cake.
All right.
We must eat cake. All right. Until the next time we are on, there are no off days.
You're a fantastic baker. Look at that.